You're a fine girl. What a good wife you would be. What is up, Jeromes? Happy Monday out there. Happy Dia de los 20 for those who celebrate. Sure. We have to be very careful about what we say because of the whole hate speech fiasco of many moons ago, as well as you know, But happy Monday out there. Thank you very much for making us part of your day. Cheers to y'all who are coming along on the live stream as well as catching us on demand. It's a lot of fun. Really enjoy doing this. Is this week 4 or 5 of us doing this? But I think it's good practice. So we're doing an hour live stream every single weekday, 11 a.m. Central Time. Feeling fine, good stuff, especially draft week. There's going to be a lot to talk about. Oh, yeah, think about live streams on Thursday and Friday. Maybe we'll do one on Saturday too. I don't know. There's so many options for hashtag content during this time because not only do we get to speculate recklessly about the NFL draft coming up and mock draft 79.1, baby, let's go. Woo! But afterwards is like, why did they pick this guy? Like, why did they pick Willie Beavers? Like, why did they pick Prince Tega Winogo at 22? Which, I like him as a prospect, not at 22. It's one of those spots. And then we could just sort of pick that apart. And then we're just hope and pray that the Rona lets us play football, even if it's in empty stadiums. I'm okay with that. And actually, scoring would go up if players on the field had to stay like 6 feet away from each other. It'd be good. It's like how the NBA plays defense. But let us know where you're watching from in the live chat. We'll give a couple of shout outs there. We got some Q&A as well as all right, so we're gonna simulate a mock draft. It's where I have set up every other pick that we'll select, or I don't know. We'll see how that works. But we have a nice number of comments and questions, so we'll get into that today. There we go. First up is Rich Spicer. Do you think Washington would trade up straight Williams for Harris or maybe a little cap relief coming our way? If so, would you take it? So straight up Williams for Harris, I would probably do that. I would. And then safety becomes a priority in the draft. I don't know if Washington would. I mean, pairing up of Harris and Landon Collins is pretty damn sexy, but that is a lot of money on the back end of the defense. I mean, yeah, I would do it. Yeah, Seth V. Herman. Do you think Riley Reef has any trade value? Should we consider moving him for draft capital and drafters replacement early? Well, I think a lot of teams that could potentially be interested in Riley Reef are already in on Trent Williams, as he is the better option, even though he's been out of the league for a year. But also would be looking for into the draft for tackle. So you look at teams that are also in on Trent Williams. You look at the Jets that drafted 11. You look at the Browns that drafted 10. So they'll be in the thick of things for one of the big four tackles. And if you can go young and cheap as opposed to old and expensive, and also you don't have to give up draft picks, that would make sense. So I think Reef's trade value is pretty nil, unless Washington wants to pull a Yankee swap where they're like, okay, we want to move on from Trent Williams, but we don't want Dwayne Haskins or when we draft Tua to die. So we'll just get Reef. There you go. Let's hear a couple of shout outs. So we got Michael Skoll, who's, you see the purple check mark. He's a monthly or platinum Jerome. Hit that join box down below. Find out how you can support the channel, support the work. It's a lot of good times. As well as Dwight Schrute. Dwight Schrute, old school, old country pronunciation. Circle Pines, Lexington, Minnesota. Let's see what else here. Spectre Bug, Skoll from Bear Country, Illinois. Was that actually a place? I don't know. There you go. Next up is, speaking of Dwight Schrute, what would you recommend to eat while the draft starts off this Thursday? If you're making some eggs, how do you go about your business? So eating on Thursday, see something light, something low on carbs, low on sugar, because you definitely don't want to crash during the draft. So you want like some protein. You want some protein, bro. Fire some steaks. Smoke some chicken wings. Do whatever you want to do. There you go. Making eggs. So for me, I like eggs in all ways. So omelet's phenomenal. Scrambled. We talked about on here before how I scramble my eggs. I don't do the soft scrambled, or where you like add creme fraiche and you're constantly stirring. Now I'm a ripping hot pan, put some butter in said pan, and have your eggs ready to go so your butter doesn't burn. But like crank it all the way on high. put that butter in, eggs right afterwards, where you already have them scrambled up in a pan, a little bit of salt and pepper, a little bit some chives or some fresh whatever herb you have, and then completely hard, fast scramble that thing. It should maybe take about 20 seconds. That's what she said. Go after that. See, over easy, definitely not over hard. Like over hard, people who like their eggs over hard are people who also like their steaks well done. I know the best part is the yolk. So do over easy or do hard boiled, where that yolk is like very like oozy. So like boil for about 6.5 minutes. I found is roughly the best time and temp. And that's all. That's egg talk. Harvey Melber. I really feel Spillman is going to pull an unusual draft wizardry and get us a third first round pick or a second 2021 first rounder by trading down. Thoughts? How do you get a third by trading down? Well, so I see what you're saying. So, I mean, the Vikings could potentially move back into the back end of the first round again if they stick and pick at 22 and 25. I mean, the Ravens, the Seahawks are always been known to trade down. I think the Niners could trade down from 31 because they don't have a second, third, or fourth round pick. So the Vikings want to package, a second, one of the thirds, and a fourth to move back up into the first. Could certainly happen. Or if they trade down, like say a team wants to come up and then they give up their future 2021 first rounder, could see that happening because, I mean, if they want to stockpile draft capital, I mean, next year is the time to do it with Trevor Lawrence, with Justin Fields, I'm sure there will be a number of quarterbacks that we weren't even talking about, maybe even Ian Book from Notre Dame. So, I mean, yeah, having an extra first and a fourth rounder next year from the Buffalo trade certainly wouldn't have an issue with that. Seth V. Herman. Just watching some tape on Holton Hill from his rookie year. Looked pretty good in the return game. Do you think he will get a shot this year? He looked really bad in camp last year when they were experimenting, like the full-on gong show when Mike Hughes wasn't ready to go yet, and also when Marcus Charles was not deceased. So I think there's going to be better options, especially punt returner. Yeah, like my guy is still Davion Davis, who was a stud punt returner at Sam Houston State. Yeah. So, trying to remember if it was Sam Houston or just Sam Houston State. So there you go. As well as kick returner, if Abdullah's on the team, I think he's a better option. Plus, if Holton's going to be a potential starter or at least big-time contributor at cornerback, you don't necessarily want him back there fielding kicks just because of injury concerns. Pulford Skull. I had a dream that the Vikings were playing a live Sunday game this coming season, and Kirk broke his throwing arm after getting hit. Ow. The Monday that the Vikings signed Winston was 2017 all over again. He lit it up. Well, I will say that if you're looking for high variance, Jameis Winston is it. And beyond the whole 30 for 30 season that he had last year, I mean, dude threw a lot of picks, mainly because he does not give a fudge. Now, some of that is being a gunslinger. Some of that is just being not good, right? But I mean, the segment of Vikings fans that thought Cousins had a really good season in 2018 because he threw for 4,300 yards, like they would probably cream in their jeans if they got 5,000-yard Jameis Winston, which is just absolutely. Actually, let's look up the biggest PFR single season passing records, because this is always fun. All right, so through the years, Peyton Manning, Denver, 5,477 yards. And the most amazing thing is that none of those passes traveled further than 10 yards downfield in the air. I mean, it was just amazing what he did. Actually, let's go further down the PFR rabbit hole. So Peyton Manning, I want to see 2013. Actually, let's go career game logs because he just like died his final season. All right. So, we're in the playoffs. There you go. All right. So 2013 was the amazing season, which was it's 2013. Second year in Denver. I mean, that neck healed up pretty good. First game of the season, he throws 7 touchdowns on 462 on the Ravens' ass, just like full on teabagging. It was just amazing. He had God, he was insane that year. Man. Drew Brees, 5,476. Breeze. Jameis. I love that the 5,000 yard season club is Peyton Manning Hall of Famer, Drew Brees Hall of Famer, Tom Brady Hall of Famer, Big Ben probably Hall of Famer, Patrick Mahomes future Hall of Famer, and Jameis. That's funny to me. And also, yeah, Jabroni Matthew Stafford just like bring up the sorry, Matthew Stafford's in that list too. I forgot. There you go. Also Dan Marino. All right, so yeah, Matthew Stafford and Jameis Winston are there like, we're just happy to be here, man. Yeah, it's funny. All right, next up is Brian Niaz. If you had to endure one incident or the other, which would you rather go through? A, you get run down by Randy's Lexus. Oh, Randy Moss, traffic cop. I get it. B, you get choked out by Spreewell. I would say run over by Randy because Randy still has some money. Spreewell's broke. Like he's got to feed his kids, right? So, yeah, I mean that was also a very low speed. That was like a love tap. So I'm just looking for like full pockets. So also the choked out has a much more like visceral human to human element. Yeah, so no, I would go A for sure, and then I would be rich. T-Rag, are you going to be live streaming during the draft? Also, for some reason, I have a great feeling about AJ Terrell. I think we'll coach again next season, top 3 DB from the draft. There's some Terrell steam that he could be the third cornerback off the board, where I feel like there's in that second tier of corners, it's sort of a pick your flavor. Christian Fulton, AJ Terrell, Gladney, as well as Jalen Johnson. I feel like they're all sort of on the same tier for me, behind Hefe, as well as CJ Henderson. Henderson may be cornerback 1 in this class off the board. Live streaming, we haven't fully decided yet. I'm sure we'll live stream in some capacity. Man, it's this Thursday already. Yeah. So maybe like the first 10 picks, or maybe we'll just let it go. Just let it stream, whatever, and then we'll just record our profiles for when the Vikings pick ad hoc. There you go. Preacher Paul, do you think they'd actually go all in for Trent Williams? Just seems to be a class above what they're known for. It would be a big move. I'm trying to think of like a recent big trade that the Vikings have actually pulled off. Or a trade to acquire a player, not like jettisoning Percy or Diggs. I guess maybe Bradford. I mean, that was a big time trade. You traded for another team's starting quarterback like a week before the season. That's a big move. Jarrett Allen for sure, 2008. That makes sense. Yeah. But it would be out of character. But, I mean, at this point, if it doesn't cost too much draft capital-wise, they can make it work with the cap. Even though I'm a little worried that the 2021 salary cap may be quite shrunken due to reduced revenues in 2020, but it's an argument for another day. And also, Kirk would be like, come on. A DG. Saying we get Trent. Should we get another offensive tackle? Be mattered by him. Also, Auburn, Prince, or Taylor from North Carolina State. Yes. But then also you can gamble on a more developmental offensive tackle. So outside of the big 6, I also consider Austin Jackson to be a very developmental guy. He's only 20 years old. Definitely Prince Tagovailoa from Auburn, as well as Ben Barsha, I think would be in the definitely needs to sit a year category. Maybe Lucas Niang from TCU, also for medical reasons. Matt Pert from UConn, guys that would definitely benefit from sitting a year, possibly being that swing backup tackle. Jack Ellis. Scenario, trade back from 22 into the second round with the Colts, get 34 and 44 in return. All in for that? Yes, I would be. Would we have to give up anything else for that to happen? Trade chart says maybe 105, but yeah. I think that would, unless the Colts are fully in on Jordan Love or Justin Herbert. Say Herbert falls, and it's very likely that the Patriots could take a quarterback at 23, or at least the Colts believe so. So then the Vikings would have some leverage. They wouldn't necessarily have to give up a lot more. In a vacuum, 22 doesn't sync up with 34 and 44. But if you have the leverage to do it, you generally come out better than the trade chart. Google 92. Thoughts on Chad Reuter, NFL draft analyst, leaving TJ out of a 7-round mock draft. I'm not familiar with his work, but leaving Tyler Johnson out of a complete 7-round mock, no. Which round do you think he'll go? For us, he's wide receiver 6, but in this class, because it's so deep a wide receiver and because he's not a plus athlete, I actually think that he could fall maybe to the 4th. Maybe. And before you at me, I mean, Terry McLaurin had a phenomenal career at Ohio State and was a combine freak, and he fell to the 3rd round. So don't at me. Chugging for Loco, get Winfield 25 one time. Yes. Well, yes, getting him, but I'm going on the whole 4 Loco thing because I do not want to relive that. That was really bad. Brian Niaz. Who's your favorite country artist? Mine's Luke Bryan. What's his name? I gotta look up. Thomas Rhett. Yeah, Thomas Rhett. In terms of like, he's one of the newer country dudes who makes like really good beer drinking songs. Hey, we're gonna party like we on vacation. That old stuff. Yeah, it's good. Whereas if you want to go old school, like, does Johnny Cash count as country? He might. Probably should. There you go. DG. Another Trent question. Say he's ours. Would it be too reckless to go double cornerback in the 1st and then a wide receiver in the 2nd? Well, I think that even though we said the cornerback is relatively deep, it is pretty top heavy, but also it does seem like you would be giving up a lot of value at potential other spots if you went cornerback. So say you got Gladney and Johnson, which by the way would be sexy as hell, or Fulton Johnson, Fulton Gladney, Terrell Johnson, Terrell Fulton. If you went those 2, seems like that you would be leaving some value on the table. I think there would be other positions of BPA up at the top. I mean, you certainly want to double up on cornerback, and there's a big drop-off after, say, the 3rd round, say, like Meek Robertson, Tony Pride Jr. In that mix, but nah. Ethan Griffith. How will you do a redraft for the Vikings after the draft is complete to say who'd you pick available given players? Yeah, I mean, we can do that, but here's how you see, like, draft grades and stuff. Draft grades, nailed it, and stuff that come out immediately after the draft. Like, that's an A, that's a B, that's a D, that's a whatever. It's mainly because how do picks sync up with your big board or how you perceive players, right? So say the Vikings take Ezra Cleveland at 25, where he might even be like the 4th tackle on the board, depending on how they see Becton and some of his red flags. So, I mean, Matt Miller had Ezra Cleveland at like 114 on his big board, or he might even been lower than that. So he's going to give the Vikings an F, like an F minus, even though schematically he fits in perfectly with what they want to do. And if they did have him graded as the best tackle available on their board, as well as maybe even the top player on their board, I mean, who's right, who's wrong, right? It's all about, or say, a analyst has a very high grade on a player, and then he ends up going late. So say an analyst has a 2nd round grade on a player, and he ends up going 4th round. All of a sudden, that's massive value. That is a steal, even though the NFL, the league, 32 teams. So I was like, yeah, fact. Actually, let's go back. Let's 2013 Vikings draft grades. Let's look at that. All right, so DN. All right, so this came out right after the 2013 draft. That was the year that the Vikings had three first rounders. All right, so Sharif at 23, A+. Well, mainly because a lot of sites saw him as a top 10, maybe even a top 5 pick. Xavier, it's compared to Brandon Browner, except for the murder. All right, so he gets A+. There you go. Trading up for Cordero. So that was the year the Vikings sent a 2-3-4-7 to the Patriots for 29. A-. Because of need, he was not the BPA. Manti Te'o. Oh, Manti Te'o and Geno Smith. There you go. Pining for Alec Ogletree. 4th rounder Hodges back in, gets a B+. Jeff Locke, C. Yeah. Jeff Baca gets a B. Mike Monty only got a B. Shoot. Travis Bond, C. Everett Dawkins, B. There you go. So, I mean, grades are always in the eye of the beholder, and it's always in comparison to how you saw prospects coming in. 84. Do you think we're going to restructure Reef's contract, or are we going to continue to overpay him? Well, I think what you're asking is more of a pay cut, because if it's a restructure, that means that they've extended Riley Reef, which, nah. Brett Vuvuzelas. And also, if you're in his shoes, like, why would you accept a pay cut? Brett Vuvuzelas. If we get Trent Williams, should we move Reef to guard or cut him? Also, what do you think what they should do with Elfline? Well, I think Elfline's not going to be on the team either way. But I think, Elfline's going to have to get beat out in camp if there is a camp, which unfortunately could give some benefit of the doubt to incumbents, which means crap. But they could make it work money-wise, hashtag Carlos Meth, if they traded for Trent Williams and then they move Reef down to guard. So it would be Trent Williams, Reef, Bradbury, right guard, probably Drew Samia, and then Brian O'Neill. I mean, that's a really expensive left side of the line. If they traded for Trent Williams, I would just assume just cut Bradley Reef or trade him for like a 7th if you can get it. I don't know about trading that contract, though, because ideally, even if you got Trent Williams, you didn't give up enough draft capital where it precludes you for getting a week 1 starter on the inside. Nick Blackford. What do you believe is a bigger need to address early for the Vikings? Interior offensive line or left tackle? Well, actually, we just did a video on this today. So I think the Vikings draft strategy, come away with one of those big 6 tackles, because of the big 6, as well as Austin Jackson, if you include him in there at 7, I think they all do project to either play left tackle or have traits to play left tackle. I think Jedrick Wills could switch over. I think Tristan Wirfs could switch over. And then, of course, Thomas Becton, Ezra Cleveland, a.k.a. Brian O'Neill, and Josh Jones all played left tackle in college. So I think priority is one of those 6. But if they don't hit it, I mean, after that, it gets pretty rough. So Tengwa Nogo needs time. Matt Pert needs time. Ben Barsh needs time. So then you should flip to interior offensive line, because you still would have some decent meat eaters on day 2 that'd be ready to start. So Cesar Ruiz would be ready to start. Nathaniel Moody, Jonah Jackson, Logan Stenberg, Shane Lemieux even to a degree, Tyler Biadish. So if they miss out on the big 6 or decide to pass on one of the big 6 because they see value other places, then they should flip to interior offensive line. Mr. Popo. Another sad moment in Vikings history, your reaction to Antonio Freeman catching that damn ball on Monday Night Football. He did what? All right, so what year was that? Chris Dishman, just like celebrating. That was in 2000. So I was 14, 15, somewhere in there. So the reaction was probably, Husk Gamer 15. Could you do your official mock draft sometime before the draft? Pick all of the teams on day 1. I mean, we'll probably do it several times just for hashtag content at this time of year. Ryan O'Sullivan, how are you staying fit during this tough time we're in? I'm not. I'm just playing. So we like to do about half an hour of cardio a day. Ride the bike, which some I like to do because then you just watch TV and sort of zone out. We got a pretty decent array of free weights at home. So we got dumbbells, we got kettlebells, we got hex bar, which is nice. So yeah, just get after it every day, throw some weight around. It's always nice after making some content and doing some work just to be able to just chuck it. Jeremy Scott, am I alone in thinking that if Jordan Love falls to 25, hell, maybe even 22, that the Vikings should not be in on him, let him redshirt? Should not be in on him, let him redshirt a year. Wait, so be in on him and then go the Mahomes, Alex Smith route. I like him. I mainly like him because he's fun to watch, but also gunslingers get shot. Like, he is full on like the best parts of Pat Mahomes and like the worst parts of James Winston. So he's probably the most highly variant prospect in this class. He's up there with Becton, where the bust factor is huge, but also the ceiling is basically unlimited. If he's there, God, it would be tempting. But also, would God King GM Kirky Cousins allow it to happen? I don't know. Sam Woodward, a great video skull from Birmingham, England. Oh, it's where the Beatles are from. If we trade a first-round pick for a player, would you be okay? Who would you be okay with us trading for? All right, so first-round pick for a player. No one I can think of. Mainly because if you're trading a first-round pick for a player, it's probably going to be an established player, so it's probably a big contract. If you're trading for a young, up-and-coming player on the rookie deal, chances are teams aren't going to want to part with them. So I'd say no one. That's a no one. Well, yeah, Aaron Donald. But, yeah, good luck with that. Max Maloney. Who's the biggest draft bust ever for the Vikings, in your opinion? You probably have to say Demetrius Underwood because he never played a down for the Vikings, which, by the way, that was the era during the Red McCombs ownership where they really skimped on scouting as well as, like, so digging into prospects. Like, if you would have just scratched the surface at all, Demetrius Underwood at Michigan State, you would have found a billion red flags, and the Vikings just took him blindly anyway. Well, let's look up Demetrius Underwood's college stats. Sports. I wonder if he has a spider chart. He might. Demetrius Underwood. One time. Come on. Oh, he does. Let's go. Oh, so boring. Boring. All right, so height and weight, 40-yard dash, 4.88. Pretty decent for an edge. And then 4.39 shuttle. It's not bad. Player comparisons, Taco Charlton. There you go. Jack Crawford, Penn State from back in the day. This is Dallas stats. Can we get college stats up in here? College stats. Because he had to have been a beast, right? Right? You'd think? Maybe not. Come on. This is such a first world problem. Like, I'm ready to X out because it's not loading in 5 seconds. Oh, wait, there's some basketball player. So never mind. Yeah, if Demetrius Underwood was actually 6'2", $195, and they still drafted him as a defensive end, then the Vikings would have serious issues. But, yeah, he would have to be up there. I guess Troy Williamson, 7 overall pick in 2005, just because that was legit the pick that replaced Randy Moss. That's bad. Ponder would be up there too, but that was the Vikings' fault for overdrafting Ponder. I mean, he's probably a probably a third-round talent, but they're like, oh, Senior Bowl MVP, get out. And then they panic because Jake Locker went. Vikings were very in on Jake Locker that year. MJ 23. Do you think Minnesota could possibly draft Antoine Winfield Jr. or Diggs, bro? Thanks. Love seeing the channel grow up. Love you, man. OG Jerome. Antoine Winfield Jr., yes. Diggs. I hope that Diggs is drafted before the Vikings have a chance to make that decision because he is a super talented guy. Not necessarily perfect for what the Vikings want to do, what Zimmer likes to do on the back end. But, I mean, if he goes like 17 to the Cowboys, that would be kind of nice. Because then they wouldn't have like the whole drama of it going on. But Winfield Jr. would be legit. Jack Doyle. Who's the best player you can think can fall to pick 22? Ruggs? I don't think Judy or Lamb fall that far. Is it Kinlaw? Maybe. Becton could fall. I mean, there's a lot of questions with Becton, mainly due to how he plays. I don't see Henderson falling. I don't see Okudah falling. Yeah, I think that might be about it. Yeah. Tyler, will you do a video on trade back scenarios? I mean, we could, except there's going to be tons of them. Like, there's going to be like way too many. It's almost infinite. It's like Schrodinger's trade back. Brian Yatz, which treasonous scumbag would you rather duel fight to the death? Prescott Bush or Alexander Hamilton? Well, I know about Alexander Hamilton. What did Prescott Bush do? I know he's like the Bush's dad's. Was he the bootlegger? No, that was Joe Kennedy. Let's see here. Or is this just a full-on political hit thing? Whatever. I'll fight Aaron Burr. Bring on the vice president. Eugene McCarthy. How would you feel about Rick Spielman if he did pull off that OBJ for a couple of next year's picks? Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, OBJ for a second and future 5th round pick? Yes. I mean, that was one of the reasons why you shouldn't have believed that report from Moose or whatever. I was like, oh, yeah, that little of trade compensation when there have been 0 trade rumblings or rumors. I mean, yeah, okay. And it's just funny watching Vikings fans get so indignant. If you wouldn't trade OBJ for a second and a future 5th, you don't want to win. Well, of course. Yeah, it's like, well, if you don't want to trade a 7th round pick for Patrick Mahomes, you're obviously a bunch of losers. Well, yeah. Next up is Plebeian. With all the talk of BPA, why does every Vikings talk show seem so obsessed with drafting specifically for need? This year especially seems like a great year to get some top-end talent wherever it may come. Jordan Love one time. Well, I think this is a weird spot where positions of need is going to sync up with BPA, where you can see pretty clearly that in some very likely scenarios that best player available for the Vikings at 22 or 25 could be cornerback, could be wide receiver, could be offensive line. So you throw in like the edge guys, Gross Matos, Clayson Epinesa could be in there in the mix as well. Or, I mean, like we said, safety could be a low-key position of need depending on what happens with Anthony Harris. So you have Delpit and McKinney and Winfield up there, 22, 25, very likely in that mix. So I think it's actually a perfect combination where the Vikings aren't necessarily drafting, reaching for need, where it could really sync up with their big board, where the best player available may be a position in need or close to it. A Clinton 14, you kind of look like a younger version of Wong from Doctor Strange. I'm not familiar with that show. Actually, wait, am I familiar with that show? Is that the one with Benedict Cumberbatch? Oh, this guy? I feel like this guy's been in a bunch of movies. All right, so let me look him up. Yeah, because he looks. Was he in Interstellar? So who's he played by? Benedict Wong. This guy. Oh, was he in Batman Begins? Maybe. This is what happens all the time. All right, so filmography. I was in Spy Game. I remember that thing. That was actually a pretty good movie. Robert Redford, Brad Pitt. By the way, Brad Pitt, when he gets older, is going to look like Robert Redford. Try to get that out of your head. Let's see here. Oh, he's in Moon. Moon is a good movie. Moon with Rockwell, Sam Rockwell. Yeah, it's a good movie. Really neat twist at the end. Go look that up. He's in Kick-Ass 2. Oh, he's in Prometheus. Okay, that's what I remember. Oh, yeah, he's the Martian. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Not Interstellar, the Martian. He's the JPL guy, Jet Propulsion Labs. I feel like I remember him from something else, though. So Marco Polo. Oh, no. Yeah, he's on a Black Mirror episode. All right, I remember that now. Also, I wanted to like the Marco Polo show. I really wanted to, except I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't. Oh, it's produced by the Weinstein Company. I don't know. Maybe that's why I didn't like it. All right. Next up. Austin area. So what are some potential first round picks? Oh, I mean, yeah, maybe. But so I found out I look very Korean, by the way. I mean, very Korean. But I found out I'm only 30% Korean. I'm 70% Japanese. So konnichiwa, bitches. Austin Arias. What are some potential first round picks that you wouldn't like the Vikings to make this Thursday? All right, so I'd be wary about Austin Jackson. I like the potential is certainly there, but I think the floor is pretty low too. I wouldn't be a fan of, but I would understand if they went edge, Epinesa, Gross Matos. I would get it. If they went safety, I would understand, especially if it's Winfield. I would get it. There's not any beyond egregious overdrafting that I wouldn't be down with. Ezra Cleveland may seem like a reach for some, but I think he fits in perfectly with what they want to do, and he won't be there at 58 in all likelihood, so I would understand it. I don't know, maybe if they took Igbenegene from Auburn or Cameron Dancer from Mississippi State, guys that are just clear overreaches, maybe. Yeah, but overall, There's not like an egregious no name that we want, except for Trevon Diggs. But hey, if everything is worked out and he's like, yeah, I don't care about my brother, or I don't care about the Vikings, yeah, sure. Adam Root, if Tua fell into the teens, would you try to get him? What would you give up? Man, it's such a dicey year because of the Rona that, your team doctors can't really get their fingers in and really check out that hip. I mean, but Tua also with the ankle sprains and the broken hands and all the other stuff. Super talented dude. I do worry about how he's going to roll in the NFL, though. Like, even though he's short, he is not as stout as, say, a Russell or even like a Drew Brees. I wouldn't trade up. That hurts to say. Paul Haywood 3. Say the Vikings are determined to trade Kirk next year and want a franchise quarterback, whatever it takes trade-wise. Would you rather trade up for Tua this year or sacrifice everything for Trevor Lawrence next year? I would trade up for Trevor Lawrence next year. Lawrence or Fields or whoever TBD next year. Nick Doroff. What is the most underrated game day snack? That's a good question. Wings get all the play. I feel like pizza gets all the play. I feel like burgers always get game day play. Brats for sure. I feel like tacos. I feel like tacos, nachos, like the Mexican realm, I feel like doesn't get enough love. Where, especially if you get like a 7-layer taco dip. Oh, baby, my darling. And then all of a sudden it turns into a 14-layer dip. Like, you just add some like pulled pork or tacos al pastor just like on top, and like, my darling, actually, pulled pork, maybe the most underrated game day snack, because especially with tailgates, where if you get to a tailgate, yeah, if you get plenty of time out there, it's great to have something on the smoker and whatnot. But pulled pork is something that you can do ahead of time. It holds up really well, especially over time. It can sit out. It can sit in a pan over a sterno, and it's something that's just always great. Like, you can make a day ahead of time. You can smoke it. You can pull it. You can rest it. You can cool it. Everyone loves it. I mean, kids who are notoriously picky also love pulled pork. So you can do that up. Henrik Byerlev. It's also great reheated too. So it's like reheated barbecue. Like, there are certainly tiers. Like reheated brisket, which is generally how you get it at a restaurant. I mean, it can be super hit or miss. Where like fresh rested brisket, it's undefeated. Like same day brisket, undefeated. Pulled pork certainly holds up well over time. Ribs can be pretty dicey. Yeah, because going on a full barbecue tangent. But of course, that's what the show is about. I mean, you guys know from the live stream that's how we do. All right, so second half of the show, shout out. Let us know where you're watching from. We'll give a couple of shout outs in the live stream. Do that up. Henrik Byerlev, can you create one full final mock draft? Yes, we will. Brian Niaz, doubleheader here. It's 98, and you're hypothetically single and have the option. So 1998. Oh. Christina Aguilera or Halle Berry? Halle Berry every single day. Halle Berry now, by the way. Two gun to your head. Do you make love to either a Thai Ladyboy or Rosie O'Donnell? Wow, that escalated quickly. I mean, both have merit. I mean, everyone needs love. Everyone deserves love. I'll choose them both. Mac, if Kevin White were to be a prospect out of college and put in this draft, where do you think he would go? What about Treadwell? I think Kevin White had an amazing combine. That's why he rose up, didn't he? Kevin White, mock draftable. By the way, he was out of football last year, which is just rough. Oh, yeah, so he was a freak. So 6'3", 215, 4'3", 540, that'll do it. He may be up there. Like, I think Kevin White, if he was in this draft, because he put up video game numbers at West Virginia for that 1 year and then was a certified combine freak, I think he would be up there with Ruggs and Lamb and Judy. Treadwell, just because even just a couple years later, we're teams seemingly are moving away from the big bodied 50-50 ball, go up and get it, slower type of wide receiver, and putting more of an emphasis on separation. He may, and also, with Treadwell too, like even though he was a year removed and put up 1,000-yard season in the SEC from that ankle injury, I think teams may be a little bit wary about that foot and ankle, because you saw it still bothered him his first year or two with the Vikings. So I think with lack of medical rechecks, I think they may be a little bit cool on him, but also stylistically, I think he would fall pretty far. Like he would probably be behind that third tier of Pittman and Ayuk and Hamler and Brian Edwards, maybe even go behind Tyler Johnson. So I don't think there's a chance in hell that he'd be a first-round pick. Might not even be a first or second-round pick. He may fall that far. Kaiser Helm 14. Dalvin Cook or Christian McCaffrey? Well, Dalvin in my heart, but McCaffrey in the head. I mean, McCaffrey can stay healthy. But if Dalvin plays a full 16-game season, bring it on. Almighty JD, Denzel Mims, T. Higgins, or Jalen Reagor, 25. Specifically for the Vikings, I would take Reagor, then Higgins, and then Mims. Like I don't understand. So Mims gets all the hype for being this workout freak, combine wizard. Why not Higgins? I mean, he is just as much of a big-bodied, height, weight, speed freak as Denzel Mims is. Plus, he has cleaner college production and fewer questions about soft skills like hands, right? Well, even though Mims played a year with a broken hand, cool, congrats. But with me, Reagor is just such a amazing, explosive, open field athlete. Also adds in the return game. He is just, I love this kid. I just love this kid. Husgamer 15. If the Vikings are all in Trent Williams, would you mind if they drafted Cesar Ruiz in the first? No. Like, say on draft night, the Vikings swap 89 for Trent Williams, so the left tackle is good to go. You're going to cut Riley Reif as opposed to June 1st. If you can't trade him, that's fine. Cesar Ruiz, I love Cesar Ruiz. I think he could step in day one and be that left guard. And I wouldn't mind at all. Like, I think he is a pretty safe bet to be the first interior offensive lineman taken. I think he's the only one who has a chance to go in the first round. So, yeah, I would have no problem. Hunter Williams. I'm hearing that the Jets and Seahawks want him now. Do you think they're better off with him? Jets and Seahawks. Oh, Trent Williams, probably. Probably. Milan Schulter. A way too early Super Bowl tip. Minnesota versus Kansas City. Rematch Super Bowl 4. And keep matriculating the ball down there, the Leonard. Vengeance. DG Snippets. Would you be down if the Vikings trade 22 and 25 for a couple of seconds? So if they got 4 second-round picks out of the 2 first-rounders in this draft specifically, yes, I would do that. Ethan Griffith. Tips on enjoying the draft more than the average jabroni. I'd say stay off of Twitter because that's just like a cesspool. Everyone's talking, no one's listening. Say have the draft guides open. If you invested in a couple of draft guides, do that up. I know a guy, Jordan Reed, does a phenomenal one every year. Proceeds go to the local Raleigh Food Bank. So buy Jordan Reed's J. Reed Draft Scouts draft manual, as well as like having PFF open. There's a lot of good stuff. So I would say every single pick, especially every Vikings pick, just do a full-on deep dive, find as many stats, find as much tape as you possibly can, and just do that up right away, just for fun. Abza Abdi, if you had to choose between eating poisonous foods 3 times a day for 1 month, won't die, but you have explosive diarrhea after you eat, or signing Clay Matthews for 2 years, which would be? Clay Matthews, because I could just cut him. Skull Daddy 69, thoughts on Anthony Gordon? I get the hype. I'm not completely sold. Like I fully understand why people would be so hyped on him, especially in the late rounds. I get it, I understand it. I do like him better than say Cole McDonald, but for me, like my guys are Tyler Huntley from Utah and Mason Fry from North Texas. I just like those guys where they go beyond the fascination with like the big arm and like the big the big dude like Luton from Oregon State. Just dudes. Yeah, that's the extent of my draft analysis. Just dudes have it. Yeah. Thomas Danielson. Somehow, Andrew Thomas, C.J. Henderson falls in your lap at 22. Who are you taking? Thomas. pretty easily Thomas. Also, do you see any Jordan's Last Dance on ESPN last night? Yeah, it was really good. We actually got an advanced copy of it, so we watched the whole thing, and it's really good. It is really, really good. Where I did have some hesitations, like, all right, so one season, one team, it is the Bulls, but how many interesting storylines can you wring out of that? I forgot so many things, like how big of a douche that Jerry Krause was. Man. Or the fact that the Blazers, speaking of like the worst, not going BPA, drafting for need, just skipping over Jordan at 2 because they had Clyde Drexler. Sam Bowie, come on down to Pride, Kentucky. Yeah. A couple shout outs. Let's see here. Game Boy, Skull from Germany. Guten Tag, Tristan, Idaho. Love Idaho. Coeur d'Alene is actually, I shouldn't even say that, but it's like the most underrated travel city ever. Seth V. Herman, Skull from Fargo. Skinny Ivory, Skull from North St. Paul. Skinny Ivory, always on the horn. Love our regular viewers. Average Vlog, Skull from North Carolina. Come on and raise up. Charlie Heck, love him. Clay Gale, Skull from Nashville. God, I love Nashville. It's a great town. Skelny Des Monet. There you go. Jabrisky, shout out Trempolo. Sullivan Supper Club. Pride of Trempolo. It's a great town. Travis watching Forest Lake, Minnesota. Flake. Isaac Ruprecht, Pickerton, Ohio. DW4C, Skull from Duluth. Tristan Yang, Skull from Fresno. Fresno, baby. Oh, Nathani Moody, let's go. Shout out from Adalberto Cato, Chicopee, Massachusetts. What up? There you go. As well as 84 Skull from Torrington, Connecticut, and Ira Coffin, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Pig Suey. McTelvin Agim, by the way, pairing him up with Armand Watts wouldn't be that bad. All right, let's going to finish these up. Ethan Griffins, Tanner Muse, the new J-Ron Curse, no. Do you think Vikings trade Riley Reef in future fourth for Trent Williams? Or I would say trade up for Andrew Thomas. If you can go young and cheap, do it. Stanley Maros, Bector falls to 22 from the failed test. Do the Vikings grab him or pass? I may pass on him just because of his tape. Like, I understand that he blew up the combine, but his tape was very poopy. Mario Carmona, throwbacks one time. Love the throwbacks. Hunter Williams, Skull from Coon Rapids. North Metro represent. Just watch the Vikings going to get Trent Williams by Thursday, guaranteed. All right. Better athlete, Cordero or Percy? I would say just natural full-on athlete Cordero, but Percy was the much better football player, like X amount, infinitely better wide receiver. Richard Wilson. Should have a draft contest for picks. I'll put that to producer Alley. Zach Ballas, happy holidays. Abdi, keep up awesome work. Keep up watching, man. Thank you very much. Jeromes, who keep us part of their day. Too evil to hope. Will draft a running back to replace Dalvin in the first round? No. I think maybe there's one running back in the first round. Like maybe the Chiefs at 32. Maybe they take Swift, but no. Kyle Nelson. Oh, that's one of the 10 draft commandments. Never draft a first-round running back. Kyle Nelson. It'd be fun to see what you get in some of the mock drafts. Only draft by first name. Ernesto Esparza. Should the Vikings draft a quarterback? I say yes. I say cornerback 22nd, wide receiver 25th. Thoughts? I'd say yeah, but also depend on who it is specifically. Stanley Maros. Which do you think is the best value? Wills at 22 or Judy at 25, Rieger at 58, Ezra at 105, or TJ at 155? They're all great. I would take them all. In fact, make that the Vikings draft, and let's roll. Brian Yaz. Which shady New York realtor developed winning a cage match? Trump or Wilf? Probably Wilf. I think he's younger. Thomas Danielson. Bigger a-hole, Romanowski or Ndamukong and Sue? I would say probably Romo. Where Sue certainly had his moments. I mean, the stomping, but also I like Sue because most of them were against the Packers, so I'm okay with that. So I'd say Romanowski. Plus, Romanowski spit in J.J. Stokes' face, which is just, kick me, shin me, whatever you want me, but don't spit on me. Abza Abdi. Name the top 5 Vikings that would be first-round picks if you decide to trade. Daniil, Harrison, Kendricks, Brian O'Neill, Thielen. And then last, Tony Chesser. Is Brandon Ayuk a first-round talent? I'd say yes. I think he's a better choice than T. Higgins. It's pretty interchangeable for me. Way variant, different skill sets because they didn't have a second coming of Jesus at quarterback. That's true. I mean, big question is how much of T. Higgins was Lawrence, and also how much was of Jefferson was Joe Brady and Joe Burrow. That is always a big question for receivers. All right, last I want to finish up with this. So we set up the first round mock draft on the Draft Network, and again we like that one because it's fast. I'm gonna go fast, and we're basically gonna do every other pick, and I forgot who we're picking for. Well, we got the Vikings for sure, but we'll see. So number 2, Washington is up, because we wanted to do it because we wanted to see how much the computer effed us up. So Burrow 1, Washington. I mean, you have to take the local kid. You have to take local Julius Peppers. That should also be a draft commandment. Do not pass on local Julius Peppers. All right, so the Lions, they go with Jeff Okudah. Makes a lot of sense. The Giants up at 4. So now tackle makes a lot of sense. I wish they would go Simmons. God, Simmons seems so much fun, though. But I feel like Gettleman will just do something stupid where it's like, hey, that Mekhi Becton dude, he's big, strong, and fast. Never mind that Tristan Wirf is big, strong, and fast and has good tape. But it's Gettleman. So Mekhi Becton, come on in. Dolphins take Tristan Wirfs. Very smart pick. So 6 in the Chargers. So they obviously could be in on quarterback, but maybe they don't. They're not in Tua. Maybe they're not really in love with Justin Herbert either. Maybe they do like Jordan Love, but they feel like they can get him at the top of the second round. Certainly possible. So at this spot, I mean, they for sure could go offensive tackle, replace Russell Okung. Yeah, it hurts. It hurts. They are just going to take my guy, Andrew Thomas. No! All right, so the Panthers go Isaiah Simmons, which, I mean, Matt Rule's defense, that's a lot of fun. You have the Joker there. And now the Cardinals, they said they could be in a wide receiver. I don't believe them for a second. So there you go. Jedrick Wills. Top 4 tackles already off the board in the first 8 picks. Oh, so we got the Jaguars for some reason. So now Tua's there. Herbert is there. Do they pass on that? I mean, Derek Brown would seem like the money pick here. But also they do need to replace Jalen Ramsey. So we're going to go C.J. Henderson, second cornerback off the board. And also we're the Browns for some reason. So the tackles are gone. I mean, do they reach for Josh Jones? I mean, you sort of understand it, wouldn't you? But here, you go Derek Brown, except they're pretty good in the front 7. Good go wide receiver, but that's a little bit nuts. Yeah. So first safety is going to come off the board, Grant Delpit. Now, that does seem like a little bit of a reach, but it's the Browns. Ruggs goes to the Jets, 12 around the board with the Raiders. It's pretty easy. You're going to go Lamb or Judy. We'll go Lamb this time around. All right, so the Niners go Derek Brown. Oh, that is so filthy. That is so filthy that Derek Brown just falls to the Niners. Yeah, so they get rid of Buckner, and then they just get Derek Brown. It's gross. Now the Bucks. They're desperate for tackle help, and the fact that they're going to reach for Josh Jones certainly could be fine. But I'm actually going to go even deeper. So Isaiah Wilson, come on in, plop him in at right tackle. And Josh Jones goes 15 to the Broncos. They certainly need some help too at tackle. But it's interesting that they pass up wide receiver there. So now, if you're the Falcons, sitting here chilling. So Kinlaw is there. That makes a lot of sense. Also could go Clavon Chason. Cornerback-wise, do you dip down for A.J. Terrell or Christian Fulton? Actually, they did say that Christian Fulton could go sneaky early. Same thing with A.J. Terrell. So we're actually going to do that. Even though Draft Network has Terrell as 44 overall. Falcons, because they can't get Henderson, just go for it. Clavon Chason ends up going to the Cowboys. Xavier McKinney goes to the Dolphins. So the Dolphins went Wirfs and McKinney. It's 2 nice building pieces for each side of the ball. Raiders back up. So they got C.D. Lamb. Jerry Jeudy is still on the board, by the way, which is just amazing. So now they go cornerback. They go interior defensive lineman. I don't think they could pass up Kinlaw at 19. So bringing on Kinlaw. Jaguars, who went with C.J. Henderson early on. So now look at some of the needs. The cornerback glass has already been broke. So McKinney is gone. Delpit is gone. Do they reach? I think they do. Oh, do you hear that? Oh, it's Antoine Winfield Jr. Oh, it hurts so much. Then Jerry Jeudy just falls in the laps of the Eagles. It's just like nothing. So now the Vikings are up. I hate this draft already. So now I mean, the Vikings could go. They could go Justin Jefferson, even though stylistically I don't think he fits in what they want to do. Gladney, Fulton is there. Could certainly go. Josh Jones is already off the board. That's right. I mean, they could go Cleveland here. Could make a lot of sense. Could go Cesar Ruiz. Could make some sense there too. So I'm going to go, since you have your choice of cornerback. I always go Jalen Johnson, but just for illustration purposes, that I'm fully in on Hefe Gladney as well. Oh, yeah, the Patriots got Tua. How gross would that be? Saints now, linebacker-wise, I mean, the fact that Kenneth Murray is just still on board, quarterback of the defense, there you go. Now, could go wide receiver, except as we've said a bunch here, that wide receiver is the one position that you could pass on because there is so much great value day 3, early day 4 as well. So now, even though it is a bit of a reach by the charts, Ezra Cleveland, come on in. All right, so the Vikings get Hefe and Cleveland, cornerback, offensive line, check. Cesar Ruiz goes next to the Dolphins. I think that's a great pick. All right, so they get Ruiz and Wirfs, just like the full-on Big Ten, 40% of the offensive line special. That's gross. Seattle's up next. All right, so Gross Matos is there. Epinesa is there. It's pretty easy peasy. Sort of take your pick. The Ravens, interior offensive line, I think they would have taken Ruiz if he was there. They're always needing help at wide receiver, it seems like, even though they took Hollywood Brown last time around. So they could go Patrick Queen. They could go Gross Matos. I think he fits in with the Ravens motif. But we're going to give him Justin Jefferson. Working on a slot. Oh, Justin Jefferson working on a slot with Lamar Jackson. That's nice. That's a pretty nice setup. Gross Matos went to the Titans. Makes sense. Now the Packers are sitting here. So they can go Mims. What are the wide receiver? Oh. Actually, let's get nuts. Let's pull an Aaron Rodgers on Aaron Rodgers. Justin Herbert, come on in. Christian Fulton goes to the Niners. So the Niners pick up Derek Brown and Christian Fulton. They just fall into the lap. Like, whatevs. And then the Chiefs. Actually, let's get nuts here. J.K. Dobbins. Why not? Just one time. All right. So Burrow, Chase Young. Actually, who cares the rest of this? But the Vikings ending up with Gladney at 22 and Ezra Cleveland at 25, even though, yes, by traditional in a vacuum boilerplate big boards, it may seem like a reach, but they could be at the top of the Vikings draft boards in terms of BPA, just by schematically how they fit in, as well as how they grade performance on the field. So, I mean, it may seem like a reach to fans or from DraftNix, but if the Vikings came away with Gladney or Fulton or Jalen Johnson, as well as Ezra Cleveland, or a Josh Jones in the first round, that's a win. That's an absolute win. There you go. All right, that is it. That is the live stream for Monday. Thank you guys very much for coming along. Tune in tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central Time. We'll be back here talking draft, probably do another dumb mock. It's always fun times. Thank you very much, Jeromes in the live chat who came along for the long ride. You're the best. Also, thank you guys for watching on demand. If you want to support the work, hit that join box down below. I'll become a monthly or platinum Jerome. Get yourself one of those purple check marks by your name and all the chats and all the comments. It's always a good time there. But till next time, Skol, production value.